has captured Captain Keys and are holding
Hello
him aboard one of
YouTube,
their
this is
cruisers.
Michael Jr. 91. I'm here to give you guys another Story Mode Wednesday. The game here I'm playing is Halo, the Master Chief Collection. It's Halo 1. I'm pretty sure it's the enhanced graphics or the remastered version. I'm not sure. All I know is I just pushed the select button on the side and it took me to this. But before I start the stories, the two stories I'm going to give you guys today, I would like to say that I am playing this on Heroic. I've never played Halo 1 before. This is actually my first time playing Halo 1, so, don't give me a hard time. So I'm just playing through the levels right now just to see how the game is, just to get a feel for the game. But back to my two stories. I have two stories. One about how I accidentally went to a gay porn site, and yes, like, it's legit, like, not playing around. I accidentally ended up watching gay porn. And then the second thing is how I got caught by my commander building a fire during the FTX we were doing in the military. So the first story is that I don't know why I needed to check my email during this time. I guess I was looking for something important, or it was like me trying to get into the military, so they said that they were going to email me or something. But I'm not exactly sure why I was checking my email. But all I know is, or just let you guys know that my email, it still is at the time, I still have the same email address from for the past 10 years. But I was going to my Hotmail account, and so I go to my room, turn on my laptop, flip it up, and the first thing I type in is msn.com. Now I'm sitting there, waiting for the web page to load up, and the first thing that loads up on the webpage is there's two Caucasian dudes, butt-ass naked, one on the left, one on the right, and in the middle it says something like welcome to men.com or something like that. And the first thing that pops in my head was yo, what the crap am I at right now? And so I don't know, in my head, for some reason I didn't think about exiting out. For some reason, I decided to try to click around and try to click out of it and stuff like that. I was clicking on the screen and it wasn't doing anything, because all it was doing was enlarging men genitalia. Instead of it being a normal, normal distance way, it was enlarged on my laptop. And so I'm just sitting there just struggling, clicking around, trying to figure out why the heck I'm at this gay porn site. And at first I was just maybe it's somebody that hacked Microsoft, because there was a incident, I guess a couple of years back, of there was YouTube pages and websites getting hacked. I remember the Sesame Street web page or YouTube account or something like that got hacked, and it was nothing but pornography and stuff like that. And I remember a whole bunch of people's Facebooks were getting hacked and stuff. So in my mind, I thought it was oh snap, that issue's happening, Microsoft got hacked. So I'm just kind of looking around, and then I look at the URL bar, and I look, and it says men.com, and I'm just yo, what the heck? And so I go into the URL again, and I type in msn.com, and next thing I know is the web. My apologies, I had the hiccups, but as I was saying, is I typed in MSN, and the first thing I realized is that the web browser came up the actual welcome to the Microsoft MSN, came up with the news and the sports and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of what happened? And then so I kind of looked through my histories to see what's going on, and I came to realize when I looked at it, that instead of typing MSN, I typed in men.com, and that's how I went to this gay porn site. And so after I kind of figured that out, I was all embarrassed, and I don't even know why I was embarrassed, because it wasn't even somebody was in the room with me. It was just me by myself. But I was all embarrassed, and I didn't really talk to anybody for the next couple of hours. I remember my mom asked me what was going on. I was like, oh, nothing. But I mean, it sounds funny, or it sounds kind of weird, but that's something that kind of scarred me a little bit, to see somebody else's genitalia in my face, actually two other people's genitalias in my face, and me focusing on it, trying to figure out what the heck just happened. So there's the first story. Now my second story is we went to the field to do some cold weather training. Yeah, I know, route clearance, going out in the field to do a cold weather training, to do infantry stuff. I don't know, don't ask me, it's my unit. But while we're out there doing cold weather training, they were teaching us how to build fires and stuff like that before we went out to the field. So like we did some preparation before going out to the field. But so during this preparation, we were learning how to build fires, building tents, A-frames and stuff like that. Just, you know, basic. I guess I wouldn't say basic like army stuff, but it was just basic like, yeah, I guess basic army stuff. But it was kind of like things that like not only the military use, but you see things like that like on TV shows, like the guys surviving out in like the toughest conditions. Basically, that's what we were training on to do. So our second night out there, it just got extremely cold. Like it started hitting the negatives. And so one of my battle buddies, he caught hypothermia out there, and I was trying to let him know that, well, he didn't catch hypothermia, he had mild hypothermia, but I was trying to let him know to go back to the tent. And he was like, this guy, so he's so depressed and so unmotivated. He was like, no, I'm just going to die out here. And I'm just like, all right, whatever, man. And then a couple of my other battle buddies came over, and they're like, yo, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing, you know, my feet hurt. I can't feel my feet, but you know, how you guys doing? They're like, yo, we are sucking right now. Like, I can't feel my toes or anything. Like, we are sucking. And I'm like, oh, snap. So in my head, I'm thinking like, yo, like my battle buddies out here sucking. We're out here, you know. At the time, we were like, we're out here doing stupid stuff. But, you know, it was supposed to be good training. I learned a lot from it. But, you know, at that time, I'm just like, yo, we're out here doing stupid stuff. So I start building this fire to keep everybody warm on my little fighting position area that I was at. So I built a nice little fire. My LT comes up to me and he goes, what are you doing, Cortez? And I'm like, oh, I'm building a fire, sir. You know, I'm warm. You know, a couple of other guys are cold. I mean, not warm, cold. I was like, I'm cold. A couple of, you know, other battle buddies are cold. They can't feel their hands and their feet. And I was like, you know, I'm just trying to build a fire just to keep us warm and stuff. And he goes, well, you know, you have your fire way too big, and they can see it at the command area, where all the leadership is and stuff like that. So he's like, you're killing me, Cortez. You got to die that thing down. I was like, all right, no problem, sir. Too easy. So I die it down, but I forgot that I made this fire so well that I put stuff at the bottom of the fire to keep the fire going even longer. So I took some branches out, you know, died off the fire a little bit. And next thing I know is, after a couple of minutes, flames just start shooting up and they go back down. And I'm just like, oh, snap. And my other battle buddy there, he's just staring at me like, oh, snap. And then we hear somebody coming, and I turn around and I'm like, hey, stop. You know, I give him the password, you know, a challenge and stuff like that. And they get the challenge right. And I'm like, okay, you're free to go. And he goes, I'm the CO. And my buddy and I, we just looked at each other and we were like, oh, snap. And we just started stomping the fire out, like right then and there on our battle position, just stomping the fire out. And we're just like, oh, snap. We were about to get effed up. And so after we stomped the fire out, he comes up and he goes, what was that? And, you know, me not being the type of guy that's, you know, gonna lie, I was like, oh, you know, we built a fire, sir, and everything like that. And he goes, why would you build a fire, you know, on your fighting position and stuff like that? And I was like, well, you know, sir, you know, everybody's out here freezing, their hands hurt, their toes hurt and stuff. But I didn't let him know about the guy that caught my hypothermia, because you know, that's a serious issue in like command teams and stuff like that. People get replaced and fired and stuff like that. So I didn't tell him that, but I was just like, yeah, everybody, you know, nobody can feel their hands or their arms or, you know, legs and stuff like that. You know, we're all out here sucking, sir. You know, it's negative degrees and stuff. And he goes, well, you shouldn't be out here building a fire on the biggest fighting position out there, which I already knew, like real world scenario, I wouldn't do something like that. But it's also kind of like real world scenario, if your guys are sucking out there and like they can't feel, you know, their hands or their feet, you know, how effective are you going to be on the battlefield? But I was like, yeah, you're right, sir. And then so he looks at us all disappointed, and so my LT comes up, and my LT wasn't mad. He was just kind of like, you know, like, oh, you know, I told you so, or, you know, what happened to you dying down the fire? And I was just like, I don't know, you know, I don't know, sir. I died it down, but I forgot I cooked it so well, I made it so well underneath that it caught on fire again. So he's like, well, you know, it's not a big deal and stuff like that. So the next day in the morning, we're packing up and we're cleaning up our stuff, and I had some fire logs out, and my commander comes up. Granted, the same commander that flipped out on us for building the fire comes up and he sees my fire logs, and he's like, "Oh, Cortez, you got fire logs?" He's like, "How come you didn't light those?" And I was like, "Well, you know what, sir? I asked this time if I could build a fire." And I was like, "I asked this time." And he looked at me and he goes, "Well, what did they say?" And I was like, "They all said no." And he just started laughing. He's like, "Yeah, you kind of ruined that last night when you built that fire on the hill." And it's just kind of like, why? And it's just like, why, sir? Why are you telling me this right now? Like I just got yelled at last night, and you're going to ask me why I didn't light my fire logs on fire, and then say the only reason why I wasn't able to light my fire logs on fire is because I built a fire last night. I was like, you know what, sir? I'm done. And then that's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what happened during that time, is I got yelled at for making a fire, and then I was asked a question on how come I didn't, light these fire logs before we left and stuff. And it's just like, I can't win here. Like, this really sucks. So those are my two stories for you guys, YouTube. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and liked it. Make sure you guys, comment, like, subscribe, do whatever. And I will see you guys next week.